Some of these numbers are just startling when you take a look. More than 100,000 migrant encounters in February alone. That in itself is a 97% increase from the same time last year. U.S. Border Patrol is now allowing asylum seekers to cross from Mexico into the United States to have their requests processed, reversing former President Trump's Remain in Mexico policy.
New reports show that the number of children detained at the U.S.-Mexico border has tripled over the past 2 weeks. This comes as the number of ICE arrests fell 60% last month.
Today, I heard from Biden's Secretary of Homeland Security that the border is totally secure. They're lying. They're lying, and they're lying at the expense of the American people.
With all due respect, there is not a crisis at the border.
Do you believe that right now there's a crisis at the border?
I think that the answer is no.
The Biden administration has begun the work of reversing literally hundreds of other rules, regulations, and fees put in place by Trump.
We are not saying don't come. We are saying don't come now.
So one of the places I visited was Rio Grande City, the CBP station down there. They're calling this a crisis. They're calling this completely unprecedented. They had 6,000 apprehensions last month. Now, that's the most they've ever had in recorded history. What makes it worse is they're expecting that to actually double.
Right now, there are roughly 4,000 illegal border crossings every day, and the numbers are even more concerning when it comes to unaccompanied minors.
So why is this happening? That's what everybody wants to know. The answer is actually really simple. Biden reversed Trump-era policies on day one. This is a policy that simply said, look, if you're crossing over and you're claiming asylum, remain in Mexico and we'll adjudicate your claim there.
They're allowed to come across the river, and then they're turned over to the Border Patrol, and the Border Patrol takes them to a processing center, and then they're released out into the community with this written promise to appear. The likelihood of them showing up, I think everybody agrees, is probably slim to none.
Yeah.
And
why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you?
CBP reports about 78,000 people were apprehended at the southern border in January. These migrants have permission to move on with notices to appear in court.
Is this situation sustainable at all? I only think it's going to get worse.
The second thing was the asylum cooperation agreements with the Northern Triangle countries, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras. Now this makes a lot of sense because if you want to claim asylum, again, do it in your home country. Do it at a local embassy or consulate. Now, only about 10% of asylum claims are adjudicated in favor of the asylum seeker. This means that millions of people around the world that are truly persecuted, that have a true claim to asylum, they can't get here. They don't have the geographic advantage. They can't just walk across. And our system is at full capacity.
So we're in Starr County, and we're at what's called the Salinas Crossing. The Rio Grande River's right here. After 6 p.m. every single day, what you're going to see is a bunch of rafts coming back and forth. And these migrants, they walk up this path that I'm walking up right now, and they turn themselves in.
Most cases when we're patrolling in an 8 or a 10-hour day, we'll see a lot of activity on the river. Well, then during those time frames where there's not, where you have that stronger policy and that deterrent, we're not seeing near the activity.
About 100 meters that way is the road, and that's where Border Patrol is usually waiting. On any given day, there could be hundreds. Lately, it's been hundreds. And they've got to fill up their vans, they've got to fill up all of their resources to get these migrants to the station. Meanwhile, the same drug cartels that are getting them across are now flanking the Border Patrol and getting their drugs across.
What's seldom talked about in all of this is how the drug cartels make out.
The flow of drugs continues at a steady pace, and most of it is coming from the southern border in California.
You don't get to cross the Rio Grande River without talking to the drug cartels. Now, they charge everybody what's called a piso, about $300 per person, man, woman, and child. You don't cross that river without it. Now, this is extremely low risk for the drug cartels. See, they're used to smuggling drugs, and they usually need somebody to actually smuggle that drug. If they get arrested, well, they're going to jail. But a person with a child, well, we all know what happens. They just get let loose. So the drug cartels just point them in the right direction. Hundreds of people at a time getting charged $300 per head. They put them on a raft and they send them across. Sometimes in the same spot, dozens of times a night. They say, just walk to Border Patrol. See, Border Patrol is actually part of the process for them. So we are here on our ride along tonight near McAllen, and here with the deputy chief of the sector here.
We're getting ready to pull up on a group of about 50 that we're having a process right now that will tie us up for probably at least an hour.
Right. Tie you up meaning you can't go look at what else is going on along the border. Another thing you told me that you see a lot is that whoever's in charge of this group, because it's not like this group just randomly got together, right? Like there's somebody who organizes this, and they're usually associated with drug traffickers. And what they'll do is use this group as to distract all you guys. Obviously, this takes a lot of resources. We're all here right now, which means there's a lot of unknown territory and places we can't see. So as border agents, federal border agents are their time is taken up with migrants, thousands just turning themselves in. The actual security role is being taken up by Texas.
Correct, yeah. The cartels it seems like they have an endless supply of money, and they have nothing but time, and they come up with some really innovative ways to smuggle their product into the country.
CBP, instead of, patrolling the border, they're now babysitters, they're bus drivers, they're nurses. So what do the drug cartels do? Well, that's where they actually get to smuggle their drugs, not just drugs, but human smuggling. We've even had some people on the terrorist watch list coming across our borders, and it's easier than ever because CBP can't be doing what it's supposed to be doing, patrolling the border.
A wall is an immorality. It's not who we are as a nation.
No matter how you feel about the wall, I think it's a moral abomination. I think it's like the Berlin Wall.
This is where walls and infrastructure come in. Look, when you have a wall, and you have lighting on it, and you have sensors, and you have technology, yes, it's true that you can't necessarily put the wall everywhere along the border. And a lot on the left say, well, see, that's what makes the entire thing useless, renders the whole infrastructure useless. Well, that's not true. From a tactical perspective, it creates choke points. See, Border Patrol knows that if they have infrastructure here, well, they don't need as much personnel there. And they can focus their personnel needs in places where maybe you can't build a wall.
We can redeploy our forces where we might not have some of this technology, or it might be a little bit more difficult to patrol.
So, security is a three-legged stool. It's technology, it's infrastructure, it's personnel.
It won't make us safer, it won't stop illegal drugs, it won't stop illegal immigration.
There will not be another foot of wall constructed on my administration.
Every move the Democrats make is intended to create more illegal immigration. And the third thing was, Biden just said he's going to stop deportations. So we're saying that if you come across, we're going to let you go into the interior, we're going to buy you a bus ticket wherever you go. We're saying that, hey, we don't really want to deport you. And on top of that, they're promoting legislation that would give everybody amnesty. So, of course people are going to come across the border illegally.
Senior DHS officials telling ABC News there is a significant surge of migrants crossing illegally into the U.S.
The sad part about all this is that it's totally preventable. We could change the tide overnight. All you have to do is re-implement the Trump administration policies, remain in Mexico, asylum cooperation agreements with the Northern Triangle countries. They want to work with us. Actually enforce our laws, deportation laws. When people break the law, put them through the court system. Get more immigration judges out there. Finish building some of these sections of walls. They do work. Border Patrol tells us that. This isn't moral, this isn't compassionate, this isn't right to a lot of legal immigrants that are trying to make it through the system. This is about protecting our sovereignty. This is about protecting the rights of legal immigrants to go through our system instead of clogging it up with people who just walk across in caravans. Look, if we don't address this, if we don't take the obvious measures to stop what's happening on our southern border, in the next few years, we're gonna end up with millions of more undocumented migrants here in this country. And what kind of country does that?